Hello guys, welcome to a brand new episode of Son of a Gun. An interesting thing about bullet is that for whatever we know about it, there are just as much that we don't. There are myths and legends circulating ever since these machines became popular, such as the 12 kilogram factory made crank or the Canadian bullet for instance. Point is, there is much for us to learn, and lack of proper and readily available information is the biggest hurdle that any budding bullet enthusiast will face. A good reference is Pete Snyder's workshop manual, upon which this video has been made. It's been just a year and a half since I had dipped my toe in this vast ocean, and I could say that I'm in a much better place right now when it comes to understanding the true core of this fine machine. In this video, I'm gonna talk about the technical reasons why some of the functions are carried out in a certain way, with special regard to common misconceptions. So, without any delay, let's quickly proceed to those frequently asked questions. Question number 1. Why do experienced riders and mechanics lower the kicker a few times with the clutch disengaged before starting? This is done to break the clutch free, especially when the bullet has been sitting for some time and you might have trouble engaging the first gear without some grinding due to the clutch not entirely breaking free upon disengagement. It's easier to get this done before the machine gets running, and it has nothing to do with the starting. I've heard people saying that they are trying to warm up their engine early in the morning and whatnot. Question number 2. What is the proper method of starting a CI bullet? Should I use throttle while starting? This question is based on a personal misconception which was showcased in a video that I had made long back. In that particular video titled How to Start Your Old Bullet Safely, I had mentioned that we shouldn't use the throttle while starting as it would result in backfiring. I would like to apologize for that wrong information, and I've already added a pinned comment stating my mistake in that video. Okay, so let's see how we should go about it in the right way. Step 1. Apply pressure to kicker until it stops against the resistance of a compression stroke. Step number 2. Use the decompression lever and lower the kicker about an inch or two further, listening for a wheeze of air into the exhaust pipe from the decompression valve. Step number 3. Once the piston has been eased up over the top of a compression stroke by middling the ammeter needle, you are ready to start. Turn on the fuel and ignition, apply choke, and with the slack taken up in the kickstarter mechanism, apply a long deliberate transfer of weight to the lever. Moving forward, the best throttle setting will be a little bit more than idle, which will be roughly 3 mm of cable travel. In some cases, less will be required, and in some even more, as this vary from machine to machine. You must experiment and find the best possible setting for your machine. Question number 3. What should I do if my bullet doesn't start with 3 or 4 kicks? Often we come across situations where we couldn't get the bullet started in the first or second kick, and we end up making a mess of it. It happens because the machine will induct excess of fuel without starting, especially after 4 or 5 futile kicks. If this is the case, release the choke, roll on to 3/4 throttle, and try to kickstart 4 to 5 times with that setting. This will clear the flooding and your bullet will start. Be careful to release the throttle as soon as it starts. Another thing to note is, if the bike doesn't start at this point, try kicking with no throttle couple of times, which may produce little firing. If so, continue doing this a few times and then resume with small throttle opening. All these would only hold good if your motorcycle doesn't have any other problem related to fuel, current, or ignition. Question number 4. Should I use water to clean my bullet? Yes, you may. Unlike some people crying fool, it's perfectly fine and normal to use water on your bullet. It is often a help to begin by brushing down with kerosene or diesel, followed by soap water, hot if possible, and then carefully rinsing with a hose or bucket. Diesel provides corrosion inhibition for the aluminum parts. While you do this, also look for loose nuts and bolts, oil seepages and cracks, as vibration can lead to these situations. Question number 5. Should I use clutch while the machine is idle? I have come across some riders making a practice of keeping the bullet in gear with the clutch disengaged instead of putting in neutral. The clutch release mechanism is not designed for sitting in a standstill in gear, and it will get damaged if you continue this habit. So, I would suggest that you make use of the neutral finder as soon as you stop and are waiting, such as when in a traffic signal. Question number 6. Should I use front brake on my CI bullet? About 75% of the braking force is exerted by the front wheel brake, and it is important to learn to use it effectively. It shouldn't be used while turning or where the traction is less, such as due to gravel on ground. The rear brake should always be used in conjunction with the front one, as this would tend to keep the bike straight and also supplement braking. Final question. What should I do if I face trouble downshifting? When you move from a higher gear to a lower one, the engine RPM has to increase. So, while downshifting, blip the throttle while making the shift, which would mean roll on the throttle with the clutch disengaged, and then apply throttle a little bit sooner relative to clutch engagement. This RPM factor is the reason why most new riders will face problems downshifting even though they could upshift smoothly. Riding with or just watching an experienced rider going through gears will help you develop the feel for good gear changing. Being said that, we have come to the end of this video. Kindly post your valuable feedback in the comment section. Thanks for watching.